All right, so anyone looking into San Jose real estate is probably thinking the same thing. Like,
Yeah.
how expensive is it there? It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And, we've got a bunch of sources here talking about it, and they all seem to agree on the main things that are causing it.
Right.
The tech boom, obviously.
Of course. Yeah.
But then also, the housing crisis,
Yeah.
and of course, the quality of life that everybody wants there.
Right.
And the tech boom, that might seem like it's the main thing that's causing these high prices.
Yeah, sure.
But I think there's got to be a bit more to it.
Oh, yeah, for sure. The way that those three factors are all interacting is actually super interesting.
Yeah.
It's not just, oh, salaries are high, so prices are high.
Right.
There's a lot more to it than that.
Yeah, one of our sources actually mentioned that the median home price is over $1.7 million.
Wow.
And they said that a lot of that is because all those six-figure tech salaries.
Yeah.
But is it really just about all that money? Or is there something else going on, like a Silicon Valley premium or something?
You're totally right. There's something else there, and it's not just the number on the paycheck, but it's what that paycheck means.
Right.
Like, if you have a high salary in Silicon Valley, it means that you have access to all this cutting-edge innovation and the potential for your career to just explode and grow.
Mm-hmm.
And there's this whole lifestyle that goes with Silicon Valley
Right.
that people want to be a part of. So they're not just paying for a house, they're buying into a whole system or an ecosystem or whatever you want to call it. And so that drives the price up,
Right.
not just for people in tech, but for everybody.
So even if you're not some coder making the next big app, you're still being affected by all these high real estate prices.
Exactly. It's a crazy market.
Yeah.
And then when you add the housing crisis on top of that, it's like throwing gasoline on a fire.
Yeah, our sources talk about how there's not much land and then all those crazy zoning laws.
Yeah.
And it always seems so simple, right?
Yeah.
Like, why don't they just build more houses?
Uh-huh.
But I bet it's not that simple.
Oh, it's so much more complicated.
Right.
California, and especially the Bay Area, has some of the strictest land use regulations in the whole country.
Wow.
Which brings us to NMBism.
MBism.
Not in my backyard.
Yeah, I've heard that term thrown around.
Yeah.
But what does that really mean for San Jose?
So basically, it's when people who already live somewhere don't want new development happening in their neighborhood.
Oh, okay.
And there's actually a bunch of reasons why that happens. Like, sometimes people are worried about traffic getting worse or schools getting too crowded or just, they want their neighborhood to stay the same. But San Jose is mostly zoned for single-family homes, so that makes it even harder to build things like apartments or condos, which we really need to increase the housing supply.
So it's like a bottleneck.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
You've got all these people making good money in tech who want to buy houses, but then there's not enough houses, so the prices just go up and up.
Yeah, our sources said that San Jose needs to build thousands of new homes every year just to keep up with how many people want to live there, but they're not even close to building that many.
Wow. So we've got the tech boom pushing prices up and the housing shortage pushing prices up.
Yeah.
But then there's that third thing we were talking about.
Right, the quality of life.
That's right. The quality of life. Everybody talks about how great it is to live in San Jose. And our sources all mention the perfect weather and all the cool things you can do and the beautiful parks and nature and how safe it is compared to some other cities. It sounds amazing, but is it really enough to explain why housing is so expensive there? I mean, don't other places have nice things too?
It's a good question, and it comes down to how people see the value of a place.
Okay.
So, like, maybe you can find those things in other places, but San Jose has this kind of special combination.
Right.
Like, you're close to San Francisco, but you're also close to the coast.
No.
And that's really appealing to some people. They want the best of both worlds.
So you can have your fancy city life and your relaxing beach life all in one place.
Yeah, exactly. And there's more. San Jose also has really good food, like a lot of different kinds of food.
Oh, nice.
Like as good as way bigger cities.
Yeah.
And it's very safe, consistently ranked as a very safe city, which is important to a lot of families.
So it's not just about having a checklist of nice things.
Right.
It's like all those things together create this special lifestyle.
Exactly. And speaking of families, we can't forget about schools. Places like Cupertino and Willow Glen have incredible schools, which of course makes housing in those areas even more expensive.
Right.
A lot of parents are willing to pay a premium for good schools.
Yeah, for sure. So it's like you're not just paying for a house, you're paying for this whole lifestyle.
Exactly.
The schools, the potential for your kids, all that stuff.
And that's a big part of what's driving these prices. People believe that San Jose is a good investment. They think it's going to keep getting better and better, so they're willing to pay a lot to be a part of it.
So it's like a perfect storm.
Uh-huh.
You've got these high-paying jobs, you've got not enough houses, and then you've got this amazing lifestyle that everyone wants.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's like everybody's fighting to get a little piece of San Jose.
Yeah, and trying to figure out what's going to happen next.
Yeah, that makes you wonder, right? Like, what if the tech boom slows down?
Right.
What happens then? Will the prices stay high because of the housing shortage, because everyone still wants to live there?
Right.
Or will things finally start to calm down a bit?
That's the million-dollar question.
It is.
And unfortunately, we don't have a crystal ball,
If only.
but we can look at what's happening and make some educated guesses.
Okay.
And that's what we're going to try to do after the break.
All right, sounds good. Let's take a quick break, and we'll be right back. So we figured out the 3 big things making San Jose real estate so pricey. The tech boom, of course, not enough houses, and that California lifestyle that everyone wants. But what happens if the tech boom kind of fizzles out?
Right.
Will those other 2 things be enough to keep prices up there, or will they start to come down?
It's like asking someone to predict the weather.
Right.
There are just so many things that could happen.
Yeah.
But if we just focus on the housing and the lifestyle, it seems like those 2 things have a life of their own.
Yeah, that makes sense. San Jose was already a pretty nice place to live before the whole tech thing exploded.
Yeah.
I mean, the weather alone is a big plus.
Right.
And then you've got those beautiful parks and all the nature and how safe it is.
Yeah.
Those things aren't going to disappear overnight.
Exactly. Those are some of the best things about San Jose. People love living in California because of the lifestyle and the weather. And that's not going to change even if the tech industry slows down.
But let's be real for a second. The tech boom was like throwing gasoline on a fire.
Yeah.
All those crazy salaries made way more people want to buy houses.
Right.
And there just weren't enough houses to go around.
Totally.
So it's kind of hard to imagine San Jose real estate without all that tech money.
It's true. The tech industry definitely had a huge impact on the housing market, but even if things slowed down, we're still going to have the problem of not enough houses.
Right.
We'd still have those strict zoning laws and people who don't want new construction in their neighborhoods. It makes it so hard to build new housing, especially the kind of housing we need, like apartments and condos that are more affordable.
So even if fewer people want to buy a house, the prices will still stay high because there just aren't enough houses to go around.
Exactly.
It's that bottleneck we talked about.
It is, and that's where things get really interesting.
How so?
Well, what if the tech boom cooling down actually helps us fix the housing problem?
I don't get it.
Well, maybe if there's less demand from tech workers, there would be more support for building more housing.
Oh, okay.
Maybe people would be more open to having apartments and condos in their neighborhoods if they weren't worried about a ton of new tech workers moving in.
Interesting. So you're saying that maybe the slowdown could actually be a good thing in a way?
Possibly. It's hard to say, for sure, but it's definitely something to think about.
It seems like a really complicated situation.
It is. You've got people who want to keep their neighborhoods the same.
Yeah.
And then you've got people who need somewhere to live and can't afford the crazy prices.
Right. And then you've got the whole quality of life thing on top of that.
Exactly. People love San Jose for the schools and the culture and the nature.
Yeah.
So even if the tech industry isn't as big a factor, people are still going to want to live there.
But what about that Silicon Valley premium we talked about?
Right.
Will people still be willing to pay those crazy prices without the promise of those big tech salaries?
That's a really good question. And honestly, I don't know the answer.
Yeah.
It's possible that if the tech boom slows down, prices could come down a bit, especially in areas where a lot of tech workers live. But it's also possible that San Jose could attract different kinds of companies and workers who are still willing to pay a lot to live there.
So maybe it's not just a question of expensive or non-expensive.
Right.
Maybe there's a middle ground where things balance out a bit.
Exactly. San Jose will probably find a new balance based on all these different factors.
Right.
And it's really hard to predict what that balance will look like.
So we've basically peeled back all the layers of the onion, but we still don't know what's at the center.
Yeah.
What's going to happen to San Jose in 5, 10, 20 years?
That's the fun part. It's a mystery.
It is.
The tech boom has definitely changed San Jose,
Mm-hmm.
but its future doesn't depend only on the tech industry.
Right.
There are all these other things like housing policies, economic trends, and the choices that people make.
Yeah.
All those things are going to shape what San Jose looks like in the future.
So we're not just trying to figure out why San Jose is so expensive right now.
Right.
We're trying to understand how all these things will affect how affordable it is.
Exactly. And what kind of city it's going to be.
That makes you think, doesn't it?
It does. What if instead of just reacting to all these changes, we could actually anticipate them?
How do you mean?
Well, what if we could understand how all these different factors work together?
Oh,
So we could actually make smarter choices about the future.
I like that. It's like instead of just playing checkers, we're playing chess.
Exactly. We're thinking several moves ahead.
Right.
We're trying to figure out what will happen if we make certain choices.
That's why this kind of deep dive is so helpful.
Yeah.
It's not just about learning a bunch of facts.
Right.
It's about learning how to think about these complex systems.
Exactly. So you can make better decisions about your own life.
Whether you're buying a house or renting, or even just trying to understand what's happening in the world around you.
Exactly. I love that idea.
Right.
We're not just trying to predict the future.
Yeah.
We're trying to figure out how to shape it.
We want to make choices that create the kind of city we want San Jose to be.
Exactly. And that brings us to a really important question.
Go, I'm listening.
So if we can really understand those forces that are making San Jose so expensive, maybe we can use that to our advantage.
Oh, okay. How do you mean?
Well, think about that idea of being close to innovation. Do we have to be right next door to Google or Apple to benefit from that?
Right.
Maybe we could look at some of those newer tech hubs that are popping up.
Okay.
Places that maybe don't have such crazy zoning laws and where housing is still relatively affordable. Could we get some of those same career benefits without having to pay those San Jose prices?
That's a really interesting idea.
Yeah.
So maybe those up-and-coming areas, but the real sweet spot, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You get in before prices go through the roof.
Exactly. And what about the quality of life?
Yeah.
San Jose has great weather beaches, a fun cultural scene.
Yeah.
But does that match up with what you really want in a place to live?
Right.
Maybe you're looking for a city with a really strong arts community, or a place where you can walk everywhere, or just a really tight-knit community. You can find those things in cities that are a lot more affordable than San Jose, and they might offer a totally different but equally awesome lifestyle.
So it's kind of like turning the whole thing upside down.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to find the most expensive place to live,
Right.
you figure out what kind of lifestyle you want. And then you find a place that fits that lifestyle. And maybe it ends up being more affordable, too. It's like finding that hidden gem of a restaurant.
I like that.
Tucked away on a side street.
Yeah.
It might not be fancy, but the food is amazing, and the prices are reasonable.
Exactly. And that's really what this deep dive is all about. It's not about giving you all the answers or telling you where to live.
Right.
It's about giving you the tools to think for yourself.
Okay.
So you can ask better questions, figure out what's important to you, and make decisions that make sense for your life.
Whether you're buying a house or renting, or just curious about how cities work,
Exactly.
understanding these big forces can help you navigate the world of real estate and feel more confident about your choices.
So we started by asking, why is San Jose so expensive?
Right.
But now we're asking, what does expensive even mean to me?
And that's a question that only you can answer.
Exactly. You have to figure out what success and happiness look like for you,
Yeah.
and then use that to guide your decisions.
And remember, things are always changing.
Totally.
New opportunities pop up. Neighborhoods change, and what people think is desirable can change too.
That's why it's so important to stay informed, stay curious, and keep asking those tough questions.
Well, this deep dive has definitely given us a lot to think about.
Yes.
We've learned about all those crazy forces that are shaping San Jose's real estate market. The tech boom, the housing shortage, that California lifestyle.
Right.
We've talked about NIMBYism and the Silicon Valley premium and how hard it is to balance preserving neighborhoods with creating new housing options.
It's complicated.
It is, but most importantly, we've seen how powerful it is to understand these things and think critically about them.
Exactly. Knowledge is power.
So whether you're looking at real estate in San Jose or somewhere else, keep these ideas in mind. Don't be afraid to question things, to think outside the box, and to make your own path based on what truly matters to you.
Keep learning, keep exploring, and keep asking those big questions.
That's great advice.
Yeah.
And on that note, thanks for joining us for this deep dive into San Jose real estate.
It's been a pleasure.
We'll see you next time on The Deep Dive.